Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Kellam, the Parish Associate at the Union Presbyterian Church in Endicott, welcoming you to this week's edition of Encounter. There's a thing called compassion fatigue. It's when people who care about other people, whether they are their next door neighbors or family members or global neighbors, you are aware of so many things that you should be doing or caring about or having compassion for, whether it's a tsunami in the Pacific or tornadoes in the Midwest, a war in Ukraine. You care about the people who are involved in these things, and sometimes you can go to a prayer meeting for them, or you could write a check to a credible relief organization. But sometimes you wonder, what can I do hands-on to help with so many issues and problems that confront us in the daily headlines or in the local news? Well, we have a guest today. We're going to be talking about some hands-on work to settle refugees. And I know that the Ukrainian situation is bringing refugees throughout Europe and perhaps eventually into our country as well. And before that, we were talking about Afghan refugees. We're still talking about refugees from the situation in Afghanistan. And our guest today is Byrnes. Welcome to Encounter.
Thank you,
with
Jeff.
the Binghamton Regional Afghan Immigration Network. I read about this in the paper and immediately thought, I want to know more about this, especially since there's been some refugee resettlement in my neighborhood. Tell me, when this all started, was this something that took place before the war had, quote, ended, unquote, or is this something fairly recent that you've gotten involved in?
Well, in August of last year, when the Afghan situation was really rapidly falling apart, there was a local Afghan man, a U.S. citizen, who had extended family in Afghanistan, and he was trying to get as many family members out as he could. He was applying for humanitarian parole applications for his family. And at the same time, I approached the rabbi at Temple Concord. I'm a member of Temple Concord, and she suggested that I help with this project. So what happened was, I went to help this man. We were doing the applications at the Presbyterian Church on Shenango Street in Binghamton, and a number of people were helping to fill out applications. We collected money for the application fees. We were really helping to alleviate a situation that just seemed overwhelming to this man, but we also knew that it was a situation that our community could help with. So that's really how we got involved in this. Of course, after August, the embassy in Afghanistan closed, which changed the situation quite a bit.
Much more complicated.
It did. It made it very complicated because the applications for humanitarian parole, which were essentially being worked at through the Department of Homeland Security, no longer had an embassy to work with.
Yeah.
So it was now the obligation of people to get out of Afghanistan on their own, and what would happen is the United States would then be able to process some of these applications. Now, at the same time, there were over 50,000 people on military bases that had been taken out of Afghanistan. And what happened was those refugees who were taken out of Afghanistan and placed in United States military positions, locations, they needed to be housed in communities in the United States.
Yeah.
So we worked on that part of it.
Yeah. Well, the learning curve on this, I mean, you'd not been involved in immigration before, had you?
No, this was really learning to, my friend Phyllis Weinstein says, it was learning to fly the plane. As it was flying, you're learning how to fly
Right.
it. Really what happened was a lot of immigration, a lot of the programs that could help immigrants had really been disassembled in the last administration. So what we did was we discovered that there were a very limited number of immigration, there were opportunities to help resettle immigrants really only through a limited number of agencies.
Right.
So we were looking at HIAS, and HIAS was actually looking at a new program called Sponsor Circles, which was kind of a model. There was a template that we were using from a Canadian program, and we thought, well, we can use this in American programs to help with resettlement. The need was so great.
No sense in reinventing the wheel.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what we did was we worked with HIAS, and
HIAS.
HIAS is an immigration network that has been in America for over 100 years. Initially, it stood for Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. And initially what it did was it helped bring Jewish immigrants to America around the turn of the last century. But now the mission of HIAS is to help immigrants really across the board from all situations.
Yeah.
And they're very good at it, and they've been doing it a very long time. So we attended webinars, we did all kinds of investigation, we did background checks. We had to fill out a very long application that would really look at things like translation for the family, a place to live, which was one of the most challenging things, setting them up with the ACA here, education needs had to be met. They had to apply to DSS. They had to be able to be set up for job searches. It was really something that would, allow them to come into the community and not only be helped by the community, but contribute to the community as well, ultimately.
Sure. Yeah, and when immigrants come into this country, they have vocations. They have history, they have backgrounds, they have health issues.
Right.
You just kind of, it might be helpful to think of yourself as an immigrant, leaving everything you know behind, and winding up in a strange country, a different place, and just starting from scratch, from new. And learning, learning a language, getting a job, finding a place to live, these are all basics.
Right.
And then the financial aspect of it all too. It costs money to go through this process.
It does. It does. All of those things that you mentioned were challenges that we had to deal with ourselves as a group. We really had to be ready to provide all of these services, some of which were very difficult to find in this area. We had to be able to really meet the needs of the family. Now, I will say that we didn't know what the makeup of the family would be. We were prepared for a family of 5, but we had no idea of the makeup of that family. We met the family, today is Thursday, we met the family a month ago. They've been here exactly a month. And we discovered just 2 days before their names, their backgrounds, their level of competency with English, things like that. But we had secured a place for them to live, and we've been working on all aspects of integrating them into the community since.
Is this the first family then that's come?
This is the first family that our group is working with. There are currently 3 sponsor circles working in the area. One has housed a family. It's a group out of St. Francis Church in Hillcrest. They have housed a family in Endicott.
Right.
And there's another sponsor circle in Owego, which has also placed a family in Owego.
Right. What impresses me is the interfaith network
Right.
that has come together to help in these 3 circles.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We work very closely with the other 2 sponsor circles, and really everybody is sort of like pulling in the same direction as far as like the kind of help that we want to give. We definitely share experiences, and we share a lot of things with the other sponsor circles, and they're very grateful for the help that we give them, and we're helpful for the help that they give us.
Oh, sure, sure. Now tell me about the family.
Well, the family is, like I said, it's a family of 5. It's a father and a mother, and they have 3 children. I don't want to say too much about the family because they still have family in Afghanistan, and that family is trying to get out. So we don't want to say too much, particularly about the family. But I will say that it was a surprise to find out who they were, as it would have been a surprise under any circumstances.
Yeah.
The father of the family has much more English than we thought. There are members of the family who have less English than we anticipated. The family has, you sort of wonder, what are the expectations of the family going to be? As you said, they left everything in Afghanistan, and they really come here completely open and vulnerable. And yet they have, they have certain expectations, and they have pride of accomplishment and pride of place. And so we try to address all of those things. The family is acclimating very well. They are taking English language lessons. They are pursuing employment. They're going to, the members that can get them are going to the DMV today to apply for a driver's license. They seem very happy. They're very open to everyone in our group. They make wonderful food. They show a lot of thanks. They're wonderful people. And I can see, they definitely have a place in our hearts, and I know that we do in theirs. It's a wonderful relationship. It's a wonderful relationship.
Yeah, I can see the hospitality that you have offered. They want to repay that hospitality.
Absolutely.
Come for a meal, or have some social interaction.
Absolutely, absolutely. They want to show us. They want to socialize with us. They really want to show that there's a part of them that is interested in us as human beings. And I think the universal thing is to open your table and share. And that is really something that not only can they do, but they're very good at it.
Good. The preparation, once you've gotten all the paperwork done, where the rubber hits the road is getting a place ready for them to come. How do you find a place, a home for them?
Well, I will say it's very, very difficult to find housing in Binghamton. All of us had made lots of phone calls and tried to make lots of connections because the family was coming from Afghanistan and of course had no credit history, it was very difficult to find housing.
Sure.
It just so happened that a very good friend of mine owns some properties, and he was in the midst of getting a new tenant. And I had talked with him, and he's an absolutely wonderful person and is, very sympathetic to the cause. And so he mentioned that his place would be open. It was just about the right timeline. So we went to his place, and one thing led to another, and everybody in the group ended up helping to paint and get ready for the new family. So it absolutely looks beautiful.
Yeah.
They're very happy with it, but it also gave us an opportunity to really work together in more than one way. We weren't just filling out paperwork.
Right.
We weren't just dealing with money. We were actually, in a very concrete way, helping to make their lives better.
Yeah, having worked with Habitat for Humanity and watching people of faith get together and paint rooms and do carpentry and build a house from the ground up, and then to welcome that family into their home and to watch their eyes open as they walk into the living room for the first time, unfurnished, but they'll furnish it.
Right.
I can imagine how it's great for your team to not be doing all the head work, the paperwork, the financial burden, but now the simple act of taking a paintbrush and getting a room ready.
It's really wonderful. It's really wonderful. And it wasn't just the members of the group. It was spouses that were helping.
Sure.
My wife helped. There were other spouses that helped. And it actually is really wonderful. And you see this really develop, and it kind of like is working along the same track as acclimating them to the community in various ways. We're actually helping to create a comforting spot for them to live, a place of, security for them.
Right. Our guest today is Brendan Byrnes. He is with, I'm going to pick this up and read it, the Binghamton Regional Afghan Immigration Network. This network is, it's going to continue, right? You're going to be continuing to help folks. It's not a one family and done kind of deal.
No, it's definitely something that we really hope to move into another phase. I mentioned that we're working with HIAS, and we have some people in our group that are so talented and so good at what they do that HIAS has taken some of our work and they're using it as a template for other sponsor circles in the country.
Right.
So we really have this like wealth of experience and knowledge, and we also have very big hearts, and so we definitely want to continue this.
Yeah.
We definitely do. That was always one of our goals, that we would help. We also are not forgetting the original family that actually sort of spurred all of this work in the first place. We're continuing to know that we have to work like lots of angles. There are people still trapped in Afghanistan, and we really have to help move them in a direction of freedom.
Yeah.
And of course, as you suggested, the Ukrainian situation is really bad. It's very timely right now. There are 3 million people that have left Ukraine, and that's also something that we're very aware of.
The difference between Afghanistan and Ukraine, as you pointed out, is that Ukraine has a U.S. embassy, making it a little bit easier for that immigration process to take place.
Yes.
And it's still going to be very difficult in Afghanistan.
Right.
It's easy to think, well, we've moved beyond Afghanistan, now we can look at Ukraine. Just because the news cycle has shifted doesn't mean that the issues have dissolved.
Right. I mean, there are humanitarian crises in so many places in the world. The Mexican situation, the Texas or the southern border of the United States. There's still a crisis in Syria. The situation in Afghanistan is of course horrible. The situation in Ukraine is horrible. And I think that people's hearts are open, and they can use their intelligence and their skills as well to help these, to help alleviate some of the problems in these situations. Right. As individuals, of course, we have to do that as a country as well, in society.
So what do you need from the community as you look forward?
Well, I think one of the things is that, we do have this, we have people from Afghanistan who are new to the area. And I think that one of the things that the Southern Tier can be is very open to people. Really across the board, the people that we've talked to have been incredibly generous and open, and we just hope that that continues. There have been lots of monetary donations. There were donations of household goods. People I've helped with services. It's really, really been wonderful to see, and I think that those sorts of things need to continue.
Yeah. And so how can people get in touch with you to offer, well, they could offer themselves if there are other living quarters to be readied, if there are financial contributions that would help, if there's just helping with paperwork.
Absolutely.
So how can they get
Well,
in touch?
I think that, if we're to continue this work and we're going to bring other families to the area, probably the most pressing need is housing. It really is. Affordable, safe housing for families who are ultimately going to be very hardworking and contributing to the economy of the Southern Tier. Monetary donations can be directed to Temple Concord. There's a spot on the Temple Concord site that is devoted to the Afghan Immigration Network.
Good.
So the money will go directly to Afghan assistance. I think those are probably the two best ways that they can help right now.
So if folks Google Temple Concord, Binghamton, New York, that will take them to the website.
It will.
Okay,
it will.
That's an easy way to find it.
Yes.
Yep. When the hours that you've put into this, now you're retired.
I am.
A teacher in the Binghamton High School.
That's right. I'm a retired English teacher. I taught at Binghamton High School.
Yeah. How did that prepare you for the work of resettlement?
Well, I think that, being a teacher, I've always tried to move people from one situation to another situation where they have more tools to use, at their disposal. And for me, that's been literacy. And of course, one of the needs for the family and one of the needs for most people that come to this country are needs of literacy. So one of the things, coincidentally, that I'm in the midst of pursuing right now is I'm going to be bringing the family to literacy volunteers. The kids have already been registered at school. They are taking classes at the ACA, and they're taking ESL classes, but the adults of the family are really hopefully going to be helped with literacy volunteers. They've been very open and exceptionally, they're just terrific.
Can you say how old the children are?
The children that are here are 27, 18, and 13.
Okay, so we're not talking about 4 and 5-year-old children.
No.
I was going to say they're so adaptable after they've been through so much. The children are so adaptable and learn very quickly, but when they're older, that's a little bit more difficult for them.
Right. That's absolutely the case. Absolutely the case. Yeah, the youngest is doing very well at school. He's already brought some tests home, and he's doing very well, and he's very happy about that. His family is very happy. Education is incredibly important to this family. They really see the power of education, and they stress that with all of their kids.
It's interesting too. Now, my experience with this is so slight, but I worked in media back in Richmond, Virginia, and the Catholic resettlement programs helped resettle a lot of Vietnamese refugees back in those days. And it was incredibly important to watch how they integrated themselves into the society as leaders.
Right.
They were not followers through the whole thing being catered to. They took leadership responsibility and became very active in the wider community and helped then resettle others.
Absolutely.
And I think this is kind of planting seeds that will grow.
Right, right. When I was, Binghamton has always been a center of immigration.
Yes,
it really has been.
The whole area. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when I was teaching at Binghamton High School, there was a time when I believe, I could be wrong on this, but there were over 30 languages spoken at the high school. And so that really speaks to the idea that this community really can be very welcoming to people from other places. And we want that to continue, and we want to see it in very concrete ways.
Right. So we had some Afghan refugees resettled in Endicott, in Owego, in Binghamton.
Yes.
And this particular program, the Binghamton Regional Afghan Immigration Network, BRAIN is the acronym for that. Which, well, there it is. This is one opportunity for people to get involved, and when you're feeling like there's not much you can do, if you can wield a paintbrush, if you can help with paperwork, English as a second language is always something that people can be easily trained to do. Right. It takes a little bit of time and energy, but we encourage you to get in touch. One way to do that is through the Temple Concord website. Google Temple Concord Binghamton, and you'll get one circle. Right. Now, the other circles, do they have? Can we get to the other circles through that one?
Yes, the Hillcrest Circle, the family that's living in Endicott, that is through St. Francis Church.
Okay.
And it's Sister Bridget, who is the head of that sponsor circle. And the circle in Owego is, let's see here.
That may be through the First Presbyterian Union Church.
First Presbyterian Union Church. You are absolutely right.
So
yes.
The Reverend Bruce Gillette would be a contact person there,
yes.
and you'll be able to find those. Brendan, thank you so much for your work on this, and I know that it will continue for you and for your family. I guess everybody's involved.
Absolutely.
And through the Temple Concord, we're grateful for the opportunity that you're affording others to get involved in this.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about this.
Glad you were here. Thank you for joining us for the Encounter program, produced by the Brim County Council of Churches in cooperation with WBNG-TV and WNBF Radio. I'm Jeff Kellam, the Parish Associate at the Union Presbyterian Church in Endicott, hoping that in the coming week you'll be gentle with people and with yourself. And I hope you'll join us again next week for Encounter.